What brought you here to Singapore?
My husband's work.
Singapore's an amazing place to be a woman.
It is really costly when it comes to the education.
If a woman is landing to Singapore today with a plan, one thing that you will say to her?
Facebook groups.
Facebook groups. Go out there and reach out and...
I wish that I received that advice when I first landed here.
When I landed in Singapore, there was a lot of men in white suits who put us on a bus.
Guys are so chill. Do you think Singapore is for everyone?
Yeah, you are a little bit at the mercy.
That's crazy. No, it's not for everyone.
Has your ability to plan life ever been completely dictated by immigration paperwork?
We're on EPs here. We can be told to go home within 30 days.
The saddest part about this whole thing is when you hear those words, right, I'm leaving.
Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of the IPG interview series, where real talk meets global life. I'm Kara, your host, and today's episode is a continuation of our last conversation with Charlotte Wilkinson, where we explore what it really takes to belong in Singapore. This time, we're widening the lens to talk about building a business here, while navigating life changes, cultural shift, and the mental resilience it takes to make it all work. We've invited 3 amazing women who decided to build their own business and defied all expectations. If you're new here, or maybe in those in-between moments to figuring out life in Singapore, this episode is for you. Are you ready? Let's do this. Welcome, and thank you for being here. Before we dive in, I will do a roundtable, and can you please explain me your name, your business, where you're coming from, and how long you've been here in Singapore, who you serve, and what brought you here? Let's start with you, Kripa.
Okay. So Kripa, I have a business, it's called Giraffe Zen, and it's all around life and wellness coaching and other activities like sound baths, retreats, yoga. I mean, I've only actually started that business about a year ago, and I've just jumped ship from corporate into this world. So it's super, super exciting. I was looking for freedom, and I get freedom.
Congratulations.
From this. Thank you. So it's a great feeling of satisfaction. When I finished work in January, I started, journaling day 1 of freedom, day 2 of freedom, day 3 of feeling, and how super satisfying it was. I've been in Singapore for 14 years.
Okay.
Yeah, came from Australia to here, but I'm from UK. While I'm from UK, I'm British Indian from Kenya.
Okay.
So have a bit of a, roadmap.
International background, yes.
Yeah. But it's been actually great living in Singapore. I really enjoyed it, really enjoying it. And my business model is I can be anywhere. So it's to serve women, actually men as well, because I do ultimately want to start organizing man treats as well. Mm-hmm. So retreats for men. At the moment, I seem to be attracting the midlife, 35s to 50s, 60s actually, although I've got close to 70-year-old coming with me for the next retreat as well, which is super amazing, super exciting. And let's just see how it goes.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Mangla, what about you?
So hi, I'm Mangla, and I moved here, I think it's coming up to 14 years. I've kind of lost track. I think COVID did that for me.
Okay.
So end of this year would be either 13 or 14 years. I came from London. I absolutely love it here. We were coming for just a couple of years, and to me, it's like, how do you leave this paradise? Because I absolutely do love it here. Okay. So I work with expat women and women in business to help them either set something up here, or if they're already running a business, how to attract a global audience. Because, we're not a tree. We can move at any time. And the lifestyle that we do lead means that we will very likely be moving or going back home. So instead of starting from scratch at each move, I just help them build the connections worldwide and take something with them so that they never have to start from scratch again. Just continue their business and enjoy it.
What brought you here to Singapore?
My husband's work.
Okay.
So we were coming just for a couple of years. The kids were little, and we thought, we'll just, see how it goes. We'll just experience it for a short while and then go back for education. But it's Singapore. I think that's the story we hear all the time. We were just coming for 2 years or 3 years. And then people stay for a very long time.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You sound like an in love girl talking about the boyfriend.
Yeah.
So nice.
Singapore, my boyfriend.
Lovely story. And what about you, Becky?
Hi,
Welcome.
I'm Becky, or known as through my business as Rebecca Downey.
Yes.
I am a personal branding photographer. So I launched my business in the UK about 7 years ago now.
Okay.
And actually, similar to what Mangla said, when I moved from the UK, I live near Brighton, to Singapore, I had to start from scratch. I mean, the type of job I do is very much people in front of you, so it's harder to build a global audience as a photographer. So yeah, we moved here from the UK, but we'd spent 6 years in Australia prior to that. So this is our second stint abroad, coming up to 4 years.
Right.
I mean, I'm a bit of an in-love girl as well. So just been in the UK and Europe for the last 5 weeks, which was wonderful. But it felt like I was coming home. So it's been really good to be here. My clients are really just like these women, sat around the table, female founders and entrepreneurs. I tend to attract more service-based businesses. So women who are really selling who they are and the magic they bring to what they do, right? There's a lot of coaches, there's a lot of yoga teachers, there's a lot of photographers and everything. And so what I help them do is connect to what makes them unique and help them share that through visuals in their marketing. So their ideal clients can be like, I like the look of her. She sounds like me. She looks like me. We share those values. That's what I do. And I also run the Athena Network in Singapore, which is a community of female founders, so women running their own business. And the purpose of Athena, we're quite a small boutique, let's say, network. We're around 35 women. We aim to kind of create a really supportive network where everybody knows your name and everybody knows what you do, so it lends itself to really good referrals as well. So yeah, that's what keeps me busy week in, week out.
All right. How did you ended up in Singapore? It was because of
we'd lived in Australia. I never wanted to leave. Kripa, we were talking about that earlier. But we went back for family reasons, and then after 6 years back in the UK, we were just bored and wanted another adventure. And true story, we sat for 5 minutes and went, New York? No, Trump was in at the time and he's back in now, so that's a good decision. This is probably going online, which means I'm not going to be able to get into America for the next 4 years. Sorry, not sorry.
Should I just shift my chair a bit that way? Away from her.
And we were like, Dubai. We're like, I don't know if we're Dubai people. And Hong Kong, we were like, I don't know. I feel that was for the youth, for when we were younger. And we were like, Singapore. And we were like, yeah, no, that sounds good. Let's go there.
All right.
That was it. That was as much thought as we put into it. I mean, these were all places where my husband is a legal recruiter. So all places where he could do his business.
He could do his business. Okay.
And so, yeah, we settled on Singapore and not look back. We love it.
Oh my God. Well, welcome. And welcome to you. And then I've been also myself in Singapore around 10 years. And I'm also an in-love girl of the country. So yes, I can understand your feelings. When you first landed in Singapore, what was the biggest emotional or mental adjustment that you were not expecting?
Well, we arrived in COVID.
Oh.
So when I landed in Singapore, there was a lot of men in white suits who put us on a bus and drove us to an undisclosed location and locked us up for 10 days. So that was quite big, actually. When we planned to move, when we did, we assumed COVID was over, really, because it had been in the UK. But things actually went backwards in Singapore as we arrived. We went to the rule of 2. So that was quite a big thing for us. That was the biggest challenge in terms of getting out, exploring and meeting people. But from my business side, it was just that I don't know anyone. I had one friend in Singapore who I knew from Australia. And the first time we caught up, she told me she was moving to Hong Kong the next month. So that was the biggest thing, being like, right, we have to build this from the ground up. But in a way, it was like a fresh start. I'd been in business, had my business then for about 2 years, and I'd learned a lot.
Yeah.
So here I could kind of start afresh with the lessons that I had learned previously. And because it took times for visas to come through, I actually had some real time to do some business planning and do some marketing like planning, so that when I got to launch, it was, you know, it looked and felt like me, and there was a strategy and a plan to it.
What about you, guys? Ladies.
Oh, for me, I think the adjustment was having a domestic helper. Oh, that was heaven. Having someone to give me that work-life balance. But culturally here, you end up working longer hours. So that was, I guess, one of the challenges. And then also getting to know people. Like, it's a big cultural shift. When you're in England, it's very different. When you're in Australia, it's very different. And then here, you got to start again. So you got to try to get to know people, you know, get to know people in the community, get to know people within the culture, and find like-minded people, like-minded energy. So that was it was a tough one. And when I came, we were really busy with work. So I was extremely too much of a workaholic, should I say?
Is it because the country push you to be as an alcoholic? Alcoholic.
That happened often.
All right. Is it because the country pushed you to work as hard as you were? Did you feel it was too much?
I think because of the time zone we're in. When you're in a global organization, you end up naturally working longer hours. People expect it.
Okay.
The good thing is, I'm free to work whatever hours I want now because I have my own business. But that was then. And I went with that until COVID. Even during COVID, I was working ridiculous hours, like literally pulling my hair out. So now at least I've taken that's a huge shift happened. And now I look after myself, pamper myself a lot. So, and you can here. That's the other thing. We can do that here. If you're back in England and you tell your friends that, I'm just going for a massage and I'm just going to, leave the kids at home and dinner will be cooked. It's very different.
No.
So positive cultural country, positive shift.
All right. How about you, Mangla?
When we moved here, the kids were really little. So to me, it was like I kept saying, this is going to be a fantastic adventure. So we would just jump on the MRT and we would go around looking at these water playgrounds, at the top of the malls.
Yeah.
So we hadn't seen that in the UK. So like, right, okay, let's go and, explore all of them. And so we would go, we'd probably get lost somewhere. But then I think, how can you get lost in Singapore? We'll figure our way back. So we spent a lot of time, honestly, just exploring the country because it was going to be just a couple of years. So I really wanted to take everything in it. Mm-hmm. And then the kids, my son's a really good reader. So I was like, right, let's go around and visit all the libraries and we'll rate them all. So I just looked at the fun part of it and everything because it was all about the kids when they were so little. There was just so much this country had to offer. Mm-hmm. And we were just trying to experience it all.
Did you experience any shock?
Shock as in it was different culturally. I think what the biggest shock was that when we were out and about in play areas, it wasn't the parents with the children, it was just helpers. Mm-hmm. So I would try and strike up a conversation and all. And then after a while, I realized, okay, it is the helpers we're looking after the kids, not the parents.
Oh.
So that made it different. And sometimes I still find that very different, especially with birthday parties. But apart from that, I think it was just, right, we're just going to take it all in.
For me, it wasn't the rent or the rules. It was the fact that I was never going to have the hair I used to have in an 80% humidity that we have here in Singapore. I mean, that was a shock for me. I'm like, I know it's very banal or whatever you want to say, but I've seen the Asian ladies here with this beautiful hair, black, all well put together. I'm like... It's ambi, I know, but yes, it's over there. Yeah, now I get over it and I try to manage, but that humidity was a shock for me. Anyway, well, back to seriousness. Once you a woman building something here, how do you manage the mental load? Not just the business, but the life itself. The family. The identity, the paperwork, and for me, the most important one, which is the expectations once you arrived here.
So when you say expectations from ourselves, or is it from other
Expectations
people?
in all around in terms of your mental load, because you arrived here in Singapore, you either because you wanted to be here, but when you realize that there's a lot to take in. It's not only your business, it's about how you take your life, the things that you need to do, the as you said, that you need to start over and do networking again, and you need to meet people, and you need to do paperwork, and also your expectations might be higher or might be lower for what you get.
Yeah, I think it's finding your tribe. When you got kids who go to school, you quickly find parents who are there in the same boat. And when you go to international school, you know that everybody's in the same boat. I think that helps a lot, where you get to discuss things with them, ask them questions. And I think it's so easy to break the ice here, because our first question when we meet somebody is like, so how long have you been here? It's so much easier to break the ice and have those conversations. So I think, starting a tribe, finding your people is so important, because there's so many questions you have. Like simple thing like, I needed to get shoes for my kids, Clark shoes. Like I couldn't find, where were they?
Yeah.
Right? And you need people. You need people around you who get it, who understand what it's like, and who've been here a bit longer than yourself. And you get all those answers that way. And we're all navigating it together.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. I think, when you land here, you tend to, your first kind of outreach is to people from your home country, or in your condo, but your home country, because you might have a friend of a friend or somebody you used to work with. So that's and what I find is that everyone's, as you said, has been through it, and been helped. So everyone's willing to put their hand out and help the next lot of people come through. So I find the expat community here incredibly supportive. And I think because it's more transient, not maybe for you two ladies around the table, but then perhaps expat communities in somewhere like Sydney, I found it at least less cliquey and much more open, and people are very willing to help. The other thing, and I firmly believe this in all areas of business, is just find experts and pay them to do it for you. Okay. So when it came to paperwork, I just found an agency who did all the LOC paperwork and business accurate registration. Because I'm like, I'm not an expert at that. Okay. I'm a firm believer of just find experts and pay them to do it. And especially in Singapore, right, there's a lot of paperwork, and getting it right is incredibly important.
Yes.
And it's, we all know stories of people who have made small errors, and it's ended up, I've done it myself, ends up costing you so much more time and so much more money than if you had just paid an expert to do it. And there's loads of businesses that support small businesses and LOC and EP, people who want to launch with an EP or an LOC. And that to me would be a big tip. Just find an expert.
How about you, Kripa?
I think that's a tip taken, because my mental workload is just like huge. I have, if you know a Kanban board, I have a list of Post-its everywhere, or loads of them, and the whole to-do list, and I'm trying to do everything myself. So I think that's a big tip for me to take away. I think I also am a bit of a perfectionist, so that mental workload is just like, the volume of it is just crazy. And I think, like I mentioned earlier, I need to get away and do more networking and connecting with people and learn from everyone else's journeys as well. So tap into that as well, and be able to not think that I can do everything myself.
Yeah.
Right.
Because you think that running a business is tough. Do you think it's tough, running a business? I think it is.
It's tough, but I love it. It's just so fulfilling, so satisfying, so enjoyable. I can't explain how much better it is from the corporate world.
Yeah.
I think there's that feeling though, like you're like, I'm going to be a photographer. But no one tells you when you're going to be a photographer, you're also going to be a marketer and a customer service manager and an accountant, and you have to do your own insurance and your own visas here, and your own IT. There's no IT department to call to tell you to turn your computer on and off again. And when my printer doesn't work, I just unplug it. It's all I can do, right? And you suddenly become like all of the different departments that you used to be able to pick up the phone and ask for help. No, that's just you now. So I would say, everyone has their own mental load regarding their personal and family life versus their business life. But within business, you suddenly realize that, you are everything.
Yes.
And that's a big shock when it comes to running your own business at the beginning.
And that's what I was asking, because it's not about the business. It's all like on your family matters as well. Because imagine trying to like arrange a moving and trying at the same time arranging your tax returns and also your working pass in the same week. It's like an Olympic game, sport. But the thing is, well, you have to pay for the medal, but it's very tough to do all together. But I'm glad that you are loving it and you are happy with it. That's good. Okay, I made some custom questions for each of one of you. I'm going to start with Kripa. Okay. In your work as a life coach, you help others build mental fitness.
Yep.
What has that journey looked like for you personally? And what boundaries did you have to learn the hard way?
What has that looked like for me? So I guess my journey itself started with a coach. Actually, I had two coaches when I was in corporate. And it was a huge eye-opener when one day one of the coaches did this assessment on me and found out that I was 100% autistic. And I'm like, I am not ready to be a charity. I cannot afford to be a charity. And that was the eye-opener. That kept coming into my mind, in like, okay, you know what? I want to do this. I want to do that for others. I want to do this for others. And I realized that as I started building my toolbox, my magic toolbox of healing powers and doing things for others, I give and I kept getting. I give and I kept getting. And I give and I keep getting. And I'm like, this is amazing. Like, I'm not giving because I want to get, but I'm naturally getting. And it's just continued like that. So for me, as soon as I help somebody else with their mental fitness, let's call it, I become even more stronger.
All right.
And more powerful. And then I can give somebody else even more superpowers. And it carries on.
All right. That's a great answer. All right. Thank you. Mangla, I have a question for you too. You help women start over and reinventing themselves, which is great. What part of your own identity did you have to reclaim or redefine while building your business here?
I have to reclaim and redefine. I think we're collecting knowledge and experiences everywhere we go, with the people we meet, countries we've lived in, just life experiences, different phases that we go through. And at each point, we do a lot of self-reflection. I think as women, we naturally do that. And so I think it came to a time where I knew I wanted to do something for myself. The kids were growing up and I was very heavily involved in the PTA and my children's school. But after a while, you can't really go in and read to 15-year-olds. I don't think they want to see mom there anymore. So I needed to build something for me, something that I absolutely loved. So I think it comes with a lot of soul searching, comes with a lot of conversations, meeting people, and then other people who will tell you, gosh, you're so good at this. It just comes so natural to you. And you're taking it all in and you're reading, you're working on your own personal development. And then I believe you ask the universe, show me the path. Tell me. Show me, I'm listening. And then that path gets shown to you and you try it. And you think, you know what? It's never, I think it's like people say, you either win or you lose. I think it's either you win or you learn. So every experience, if you go in looking at, well, I'm going to learn something from this. If it doesn't work out, okay, I've learned something that doesn't work. If it does, that's amazing. And so I think that has been my journey. Reclaiming.
Okay. Thank you, Mangla. Becky, community, we all know that it can make it or break it, your mental health. When you're new, especially when you're new somewhere. For you, how did you find or build your sense of belonging in Singapore? And how has that shaped your business?
So I'm very much a people's person, right? I can't, naturally, as I've got older, I like my own company more than I used to. And I do like my alone time, but my cup gets filled by being around like-minded women, particularly. And so that was a big challenge at the beginning when I didn't know any like-minded women. But so those first 3 months when I was sat at home wearing a mask, I use the power of social media
Okay.
to reach out to different women. You mentioned Charlotte Wilkinson earlier as a previous
Yes.
guest.
Yes.
She was very prolific on different sites and different groups. So I reached out to her. She replied and went for a coffee, and I did that with a lot of different women. And I think sometimes you just have to put yourself out there and say, "Hi, I'm new. This is who I am. This is what I'm looking to build." And I got such a beautiful response. People were open to go for coffees and have lunch and share their wisdom. And my first client, my first photography client, came because I reached out to a lady on LinkedIn with no agenda. So similar to what you said, I wasn't asking for anything, just to meet and share, and had a lovely coffee with her. And she went on a walk with her friend the next day and told her about me, and she rang me and she booked, and that was my first client. And so that to me just shows, you've just got to put yourself out there and be authentic as possible and share what you do, right? When you're running your own business, we have to let people know what we do. I always say to my clients, you can't be a best kept secret. And most of us go into business because we want to make a difference, whether that's, building confidence in women to be visual in their social media like I do, or helping women learn how to put themselves out there, or building that mental resilience. Like, if you believe that what you do can have a really positive impact on someone, I would say it's almost selfish to keep it to yourself. Because if you've got wisdom and you've got skills and you've got value, if people don't know about it, they can't learn from you. And so that was the biggest thing. And then at this time, I was planning to launch Athena. So I launched my own community within 6 months of moving here. And that was something I'd planned to do before, because community is so important.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I'm going to build my own. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to find all these amazing women, and I'm going to build my own community, and we're going to all support each other. And it's been 3.5 years of Athena now, and that's exactly what it's done.
All right. Oh my God, my guests are so deep today. I love it. Feel so touched. What kind of, now that we're talking about support, what kind of support, personal or professional, has made the biggest difference for you since starting your business here?
Like-minded women, I would say. It's just it's the other business women, who are running their own business, who've been here a few years, who really get it.
Yeah.
And so everybody supports each other.
And I'm not talking about support system like a support system can be, that Facebook group that you find and who tells you where to find the cheapest avocados this week. This is also support system. Do you agree with this with Becky, both of you, or anything else?
Yeah, no, I think for me, the biggest support system has been my husband. Just at the end of COVID, I decided that I wanted to get a one-way flight to Nepal and become a yoga teacher. And he's like, okay. So I booked it one way and came back 7 weeks later. And that's just one example of where he's been full on support with the journey. And my daughter, she was having her GCSEs at that time. So having them saying, okay, you know what, go do what you got to do, go find yourself. It's been amazing. Without that, there's no way, I could have taken this big leap, built my magic toolbox.
Yes.
Right? So having that family support, my daughter, my son, my husband, super, super essential. And then also, the community of friends that I have. Some people didn't get me, and then they had to just go on the side. And some people got me because suddenly I disappear, or suddenly I'm not partying, but I'm doing some meditation. So big transition happening with me, and those ones that supported me on the journey, it's been amazing as well. Become advocates for you.
Can you share a moment where the mental health dictated a decision, business decision, or held you back for your work, to work more or to work less, and then it was part of that because it was too much, or anything that you will?
So if I even thinking about it, just like, oh my God, I went through this. I remember walking McRitchie and the blood clots coming out internally, literally. And that was all to do with the stress. It wasn't perimenopause, because when I went to see the gynae, it was all to do with the stress at work. And that's when I realized that I need to make a big change in my life. And that was, I used to have anxiety. I used to have sleepless nights, just open up the bar and have a drink because I could go sleep. So that was the big moment where you're like, you know what? It's time to change the journey.
All right. Do you have any?
I think to me, what I feel really sad is when I do speak to a lot of women and they come in and they speak with me and they say, I don't think I'm good enough to start my own business. And I think seeing women who feel that way about themselves, I think that's the saddest part, because they've had these incredible jobs. They have left everything that they've known, family, friends, a career that they worked really, really hard for. And they've just left it all to come and join their partner in another country. And so when they come and they say, I don't think I'm good enough, it breaks my heart, because I think we've all got it in us. Yes, for some people, having your own business is a lot of work, and not everybody's cut out for that. That's 100% true. But they shouldn't feel like they can't do it. So I think I was hearing that quite a bit, and I was sort of taking that on. And I think as an empath, you kind of take that energy. And so it's realizing, okay, I can look after them if I look after myself first. And so it's recognizing that so that I could support more people that way. But it's just really sad when people feel that way.
I think it's really, really common, and there's not many women in business you will meet that haven't had those mind monkeys, that say, well, who do you think you are? Some of my clients who have left corporate then feel like this resistance of putting their new identity out there.
Mm-hmm.
There've been these, kick-ass women in business running these big meetings and big teams. And now, for example, they're teaching yoga, and it's a complete disconnect from who they were then. And so they feel a resistance to put that out there. People go, well, who does she think she is? That's not who she is. That's not what. And whereas I do say to them, most time people aren't thinking that much about you. So that's one thing, is like, no one's thinking about you as much as you're thinking about you. So we get caught up in our own heads. But there's definitely things that I've not said yes to because I didn't feel ready. I didn't feel I measured up to some of the other people that were, doing it at the time. But I think you have to give yourself, grace as well. We'll have those kind of highs and lows of emotions, and sometimes you just, wait till you're ready, or wait till you really feel it's for you. But if you look around and you're like, I've not moved forward for some time now, that's when you've got to think, right, I've got to stretch myself. I've got to step out of my comfort zone for change and growth to happen. And that's where, people like you guys with your business coaching and your mindset coaching, as I said earlier, reach out to people who are more expert and ask for help, whether it's with your insurance, your accounting, or your mindset, or your business strategy. We don't have to do it alone, and we don't have all the answers, but we're not meant to. And we can find those people that can, fill in those gaps and support us where we need.
When you're starting your business, did you feel rejection from locals because you were not at that point of time? Now you are PRs, both of you. But is there any type of stigma, or you're new, you're not from here, I don't understand you, I don't want to work with you, or you feel like a welcoming and have like, okay, like there was no difference?
Not in my experience with Singaporeans.
Okay. I think they've been very they admire it.
That's
you
great.
can do that. And I think because there are so many expat communities here, like what we were saying before, I think having that community, like we all face imposter syndrome, all of us at one point or another. And then, but it's the people around you that you surround yourself with who'll say, gosh, no, you are ready. Look at it. You know so much. You're brilliant at what you do.
Oh.
Go put yourself out there. And again, it's back to community. The people you support yourself with are not going to lift you up, but they're going to be your biggest advocates. They're going to shout out from the rooftops about you. And so it's always been, I think it's just been so welcoming and easy to do business here because you're surrounded by people who just want to see you win.
Okay.
One of the things I found kind of as my business has grown, and I have a lot of Singaporean clients, like individuals and businesses. And I love that because I feel like, I've made my home here and they see me as part of their community, not as other or as foreign. And therefore I don't want to work with you. I found Singaporeans and they're And I'm part of communities that are not, they have expats in them, but are not expat communities. They're predominantly local and amazing communities, amazing support, amazing offers of help. And yeah.
Now you're speaking about community. Let's say you find your tribe, that friend that goes with you, they want to see every week. And then all of a sudden she's relocating or he's relocating. How do you keep your support system strong, knowing that there are many of your friends might leave at a point of time?
I was telling Becky that earlier. We started, that was maybe yesterday. We started as a group of 22 of friends. We all had kids in the same school, and we used to sit around the table at the cafeteria, just catching up before pickup. We're down to 5. So if there's been that many people who have left, and it is the hardest bit, and it's the saddest part about this whole thing, is when you hear those words, right, I'm leaving.
I'm going home.
I know, it's awful. It is absolutely awful. But then back to your point, it's you got to put yourself out there. Got to meet new people. While there are lots and lots of people leaving, there are lots more coming in too. So, yeah.
I just had a good friend who's been my guinea pig for each of my areas of wellness, and she moved to Abu Dhabi. So now I'm going to be flying to Abu Dhabi and trying out some sound baths there and taking girls with me. So actually, it just opens the doors to more around the world as well.
Yeah. Now we have friends everywhere.
Yeah, that's right. And so on that note, my business model was to be able to be anywhere, and it just supports me to be anywhere. So the world is so small, the social media, it's so easy to stay in touch, stay connected. We don't have to necessarily always be physically. So actually it's okay.
Yeah, my closest friend left for Dubai just this past summer too. So yeah, the Middle East taking a lot of our friends.
Well, my business bestie moved back to, or my work wife, as I called her, moved back to the UK earlier this year. And, it is still a hole, because I think you build communities and you have lots of good friends and lots of people you can turn to. But those bestie ones,
exactly,
they don't come along quite so often. So that's definitely the one of the kind of the other side of the coin, I think, of building a life in a foreign country, is that yes, that people will leave, and some of those holes won't get filled. But if you can keep a wider community, then you're not suddenly all on your own.
Yes. And how do you keep that sense of yourself as a woman, as a mother, as a partner, as a daughter, in a country where you know that it's not totally yours?
In a country that we know is not totally ours, actually, for me, it feels indifferent, because even in England, I feel like I'm in a country that's not totally ours. So it's whether it's England, whether it's here, when I was in Australia, actually, it's the same feeling, really.
Why? Why the same feeling?
I guess
what's that feeling?
The word that was coming to my mind, I feel like a bit of a gypsy. Singapore has probably felt the most homeliest, because the kids have grown up here. They've gone through the school system here. Although my daughter's at university now in England, my son will also probably go to England as well. Singapore's probably been the most homely feeling. Actually, I feel really comfortable here.
Okay.
Yeah.
To me, I think, especially as women in your 40s, right? Like where, your home is yourself. And, I agree with you, like whether I'm in England or Australia, because we're citizens in Australia as well. It's like the country not being ours, I don't think that has an impact on my sense of self. So, I find Singapore's an amazing place to be a woman. I mean, the safety that we get afforded here compared to anywhere else, is amazing.
100%.
I haven't found any huge barriers to doing business with corporates, locals, or the expats as a woman. So I haven't kind of had to question, I didn't think that would be a thing, or that. So I find that, not being in my own country doesn't kind of impact on my sense of myself. I feel that Singapore is a place you can be yourself, and you can invest and grow your the personal brands and the businesses that we have.
You can integrate so well here because everybody's just so welcoming. And so you feel together. We all celebrate Chinese New Year together, Diwali together, all of it. We just really feel part of a community. And I love that after a few years here, when I realized that HDB blocks, they have like certain percentages, and that's how they ensure a racial harmony. It's like, it's just brilliant. It's genius.
Yeah.
And you actually see it playing out in community and in schools. Like, I mean, the schools here, they have 75 nationalities. My kids have learned more tolerance in one school here that a lot of people could spend their lifetimes and not getting.
I mean, my son can swear in 10 languages.
Oh, well, there you go.
There you go. So you can offend people in any country, or make friends with the boys, girls of his age, because they'll bond over, some funny swear word that he'll share.
Excellent. But as an entrepreneur, the three of you, I'm going to go to the grounding practices. And I have a very important question that I was asking myself last week, and I couldn't find an answer actually. What's one thing that you've done the past year that is purely for you? Not for your family, not for your business, not for your friends, for you, own sense of grounding. Ha! I got you.
Actually, I'm thinking about which one to talk about.
Yeah.
Last year or the year before, I actually started climbing mountains physically. And I was just talking to somebody yesterday, and I said, oh, yeah, I done Kilimanjaro. Yeah, I did Kota Kinabalu. Oh, yeah, I did Everest Base Camp. Oh, yeah, I did Annapurna. And then last year, I climbed about 10 summits. And any opportunity on the weekends I would get to go, I would just go. And I think grounded. Oh my God, do I feel grounded? The good side of it was I just got to create new heights, open up remove that glass ceiling of anything, because now I'm like, if I can do that, I can do anything. So it's a really great eye opener. The downside, after Kilimanjaro, my brain was so open. I had so many more ideas. I had to literally put everything into a mind map because there was just so much going on in the brain. So it actually is an amazing experience to go and climb these mountains, even if you've never done it before. Then last week or the week before, we did a 60-kilometer walk as part of National Day. There's no way I thought I could do it, but I did it. And as a volunteer, I managed to take people on that journey with me. So it was super amazing. So all those things were for me, but now physically and metaphorically, I'm taking others with me as well.
Oh, wow. I mean, I was thinking about self-care, like, I try a coffee that I really liked. It tastes like home. And I don't know, some time ago, and I haven't been there. So self-care for me is go there and enjoy that coffee because the feeling. But okay, climbing. That's another level. let's but okay. Thank you so much, Kripa. What about you, Mangla?
I think for me, it's like, because we work for ourselves, we don't really have to follow any schedule, or we have to, apart from client calls, but we get to pick and choose. So I have like Tuesdays where I do play tennis, I do Pilates, meet friends. Fridays, definitely brunches with friends. In between, so work fits around my lifestyle now. Mm-hmm. And I think that is so important, and that I don't take that for granted. I think that's a really privileged place to be. Mm-hmm. But yeah, if it's a walk I fancy, because that's where the best ideas come from, I will go for the walk at the East Coast beach. If it's playing with my dog, if it's just going out to a cafe, trying new things, it's the reason I'm in business is for, like what you said, Kripa, is for the freedom. Mm. Yeah. So we need to practice that. And we have that freedom. So we shouldn't be tied to something.
I agree. I was going to come back to you said freedom earlier, is that one of my friends says, you want to build a life that you don't want to take a holiday from. Mm-hmm. And I feel that's the privilege we have when we run our own businesses. You don't get to the weekend and be like, oh, thank God it's the weekend, because we have the freedom to do on a weekend we can do that, on a Wednesday. So from that kind of need for self-care practices that we would have perhaps had in a corporate world doesn't exist in such in such a strong way. We were also talking about earlier about retreats actually, and saying, how popular they are in Europe, and how they seem to be a bit more challenging, hopefully not for you, here, but because we have less to retreat from when we're an expat living in Singapore with amazing help, with pools in our condos or clubs up the road. So those things that you wanted to, retreat from, and I'm like, well, actually, we've built that into our everyday lives. So from that kind of self-care thing, I think, that need is much less actually than perhaps before. I mean, for me, something that I've been kind of leaning into a bit over the last couple of years is my human design, which is I'm not really an expert on it, but it's basically your soul's blueprint, like your purpose of being here, and it can give you a blueprint of how to respond to things. So I've tried to follow my design rather than like push against it or fight against it. And I feel like I've had a lot of success with that in terms of like inner calm and inner peace. So that's been something I've been exploring more for, I suppose, self-understanding over the last year or so.
Oh, wow. You guys are so chill.
I was just going to add what you said, because for me, work doesn't feel like work. So I was on a family trip in Hawaii, and one of my clients asked me, how's your holiday? I hope you weren't working. I'm like, yeah, I was working throughout, but I love it. And she's like, oh dear. I'm like, I actually love it. I love everything I'm doing, and I'll have to get permission from the kids and the husband saying, okay, look, I just need to be on my phone, but I need to do a few things. It's all exciting stuff. So
I'm with you. I absolutely, you can't wait to wake up and do it, because you've got this amazing idea.
Yeah.
When you love what you do, you just don't want to stop doing it.
And you do it with love.
That's it. Yeah.
Sometimes when people come to Singapore, they not only face that happy life that you are presenting, which is great, and I'm part of that happy life as well. I'm not saying they're opposite. But have you heard from other people or things that you find that it was very struggling for you to really click on anything? I know it's been 14 years already for you too, but
I think the hardest
Becky.
thing, which is not to do with business, is people trying to find jobs.
Okay.
That's the hardest. Like if you come here as a trading spouse with a, really good career behind you, or even like just, you've got experience doing administration or customer service, so it's not high end work. Those are the people that seem to really struggle, because to get an EP, you've got to be earning, over 40, I think it's like 12 grand a month. So if you're going to be doing, like I say, like administrative work or business development or something like that, they're not paying those salaries. So you can't get an EP. And then even then, like the competitiveness of the jobs that are available, either through businesses having quotas and therefore they're already full. I had a friend who I saw yesterday who left Singapore and has actually had to come back to work in their business because they couldn't get an EP for somebody and they need to serve their clients. So they've actually had to come back to fill that role themselves as they've got PR until they can try and, I suppose, plead or negotiate with the MOM about getting more visas. So I think perhaps as your business grows, if you want to bring in foreign talent, that's a challenge for businesses for sure.
Have you met any friends that are like struggling at the moment with that situation?
I have a friend who, before the LOC, all this new rules came about, she absolutely loved it here, was thriving. And when that rule came out, and to her was like, I'm going to be miserable here. And it's going to be an awful situation at home because I'm going to be miserable. And she told her husband that I've worked too hard. I know your career is really important to you, but so is mine. And so together they made that decision to leave because they just felt very rejected. That, we, like as expats, we bring in a lot of knowledge, we have experience, and it almost felt to her like a punishment that you have to pay all of this LOC stuff, when it first came out, especially when you're first starting out. That's a lot to have to employ somebody. There are people who go through 3 or 4 years doing a lot of the work themselves, not needing to employ anybody at all. But when the rules come in that you have to, that's what I think people put pressure on themselves, that I have to be able to earn because suddenly I'm employing someone, paying somebody more that I'm taking home from my own business.
Because of the rules.
Yeah.
Because of the rules.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think we were quite lucky because when we were in Australia and I got a job here first, and I said to the organisation, look, I'm not going to move unless my husband gets the job. And they said, okay, we'll get him a job as well. So they interviewed him, found him a role. He started before I did. So I think that was one of the greatest things I did, because we both came in with a job. Otherwise, it would have been even harder for him, or for us as a family, to settle here, because if one person's working, the other one's not, and maybe especially because he's a male, although he's much better at home than I am, that was a really good step that we took.
Yeah.
Do you think Singapore is for everyone?
I'd say it's great for when you've got kids. It's a great place for when you've got kids. I think when people are younger, there's so many more places in the world to go and explore. But it's a great place to come afterwards when you want to when you've got kids. But then again, on the other side, it's expensive. It is really costly when it comes to the education, you've got one kid, you've got two kids, if you've got three kids, if you've got four kids, can you imagine? You really need to make sure that you've got a good income. And then when all the rentals went up a couple of years ago, doubling up, that's crazy. So we bought a place, so luckily we were okay, but you hear people's horror stories of having to move and keep moving because negotiating contracts and still getting rental high charges. So no, it's not for everyone.
Yeah, you are a little bit at the mercy of, which I think if you ever live abroad, as a foreigner, regardless of the country, you're always at the mercy of the rules there that can change at any time. So I think it takes a certain type of person to be prepared to live with that level of uncertainty. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's also really hot here, right? Yeah. So the heat is definitely not, for everyone as well. I think if you're really introverted, are you going to get the most out of Singapore? Probably not. Like I said, here people like to go out in big groups and have big barbecues and dinner parties and hire boats, and it's an incredibly social place. Yeah. And I think if that isn't for you, then you're going to miss out on the best bits of here. Okay. And so again, that perhaps would be like Singapore not being for those people.
Did you feel that this is for the expat community that is very social, or you're saying in general you feel like this is a country that is very social and like you're saying, they need to be doing something or not?
I think it's locals as well.
Yeah, they're quite
because
social.
There's such a food culture here. Yeah. Things are open till really late. I mean, you drive by any like a big hawker center or cafes, it's always buzzing at night. So I think it's the culture of the place. Yeah, locals as well as expats.
I think it's more of the expats that are the big socials. Expats, and so locals go to food court because that's where they have their dinner rather than cooking at home a lot of the time as well. I feel that expats are the ones that really create that, because you've got to create your family network, what you're missing out from home. So we actually put a lot more effort and a lot more time into that.
I think I live in near Juchet, and that's always buzzing.
Oh, yeah.
So I see that all the time.
I think it's social in different ways. Yeah. I think, my local friends, when they gather with family at the weekends, there's loads of them. Yeah. Whenever they've got a photo of them with their family at the weekend, there's like 15 people there, So I think family for the different kind of Singaporean cultures is really important. And like say around food and celebrations, they bring people together. But I think, yes, they are. Whether they're hiring the boats at the weekend, probably not. Partying down at Boat Quay till 3 a.m. at Heroes, probably not. But I think as a culture, they're very social. Like I said, I always felt very welcomed and by Singapore and Singaporeans.
Let's talk about something more practical: visas, the visa limbo game. In the same you make it big, right? Life and business plans. But then you realize that everything comes to the realization if you're going to have a pass that is going to be renewed or not. Has your ability to plan life ever been completely dictated by immigration paperwork?
Yeah. We're on EPs here and I'm on an LOC. So yeah, and we can be told to go home within 30 days. That's the life that we live. My husband loses his job, and they cancel his EP, yes, there's LTVPs and things you can like, but ultimately 30 days.
How do you feel about that?
Kind of like living on the edge a little bit, but it does, it's one of the things, you move abroad for excitement, and there is an element of, gosh, we have to go. What do we do? We don't actually have a plan. So let's hope that doesn't happen. But we're 100%. My husband switched jobs, and it wasn't, it's not always an easy transition, and it was what's going to happen with our visa and what's that company doing. And when I I've renewed my LOC twice now, and this time I made an error and it got delayed, and it meant that I couldn't work for an additional kind of 3-4 weeks. Well, I had to all go back in and all be redone, and then there was the stressful few days where I'm like, have I ruined this? I've made errors with my paperwork because it's not my zone of genius at all. Attention to detail, that was very stressful. I was like, everything I've built, and particularly with the Athena network.
Yes.
Because I'm like, I've got like a community of like 35 women here. I hadn't have thought about a plan B if I suddenly you'll take over Mangla. I'd be like, Mangla, run it. But I feel that our life here is incredibly dictated by work visas and the rules of the government. I mean, with LOC, there's changes all the time. There's things getting tightened up all the time, new rules coming in. So who knows? My visa runs for another like 18 months. Will I be able to renew it then? I mean, we don't know. If the government turned around and said DP holders can't work, I can't work. And then that would impact our decision of whether we were able to stay.
For Kripa and Magda, I know that you are PRs now. Can you share your journey from landing in Singapore to become a PR?
We were in Singapore for a few years, and we decided that we just wanted to convert to PR straight away, and we were really blessed that we got it within a few weeks. So we were very fortunate. We've done the whole family. So I think that really removed one big burden for us, because just at that point, both my husband and I both got redundancy. So it was such a blessing, and our kids were at that time in local school as well. So financially, it didn't hurt so much. I dread to be on the other side where you are, where you've got to worry about it, because, oh my God, I can just feel that concerning point in life. So fortunately, we're not there. I feel that PR just gets renewed regularly. Worst case, my model is global and I can be anywhere. So I want to continue with that way as well. Keep those contacts in Abu Dhabi. I've got clients coming from New York. I've got clients coming from the UK. I've got clients from Uganda. I've coached people around 20 countries now already. So I just want to keep that business model of being anywhere to mitigate any kind of element of that as well.
Yeah.
Mine took about 9 months. So yours took a few weeks. That's amazing. Mine took about 9 months to get. We didn't put the kids on it. So it was just me. So wondered whether that would make a difference. But at that time, this was probably about 10 years ago. It was still all right. And I know now there are many, many people. And I have a friend who has tried 3 or 4 times to get PR and just been rejected. And she couldn't live with that, a rejection coming, a redundancy coming when her child was entering high school. She said, I don't want to disrupt that. And so they made that decision to leave before anything like that could happen. So I think it's tricky if there's so much dependent on what, your visa and whether your ability to work and stay here, it's education, the ages. There's so much. But as PR, we just have to renew it. I think it's every 5 years.
Expat life is basically a long cycle of welcome parties and goodbye dinners. How sometimes it is the same person who leaves the same year. You welcome in and then they say bye at the same time. How did you stay emotionally stable, grounded when your social life it shifts so much?
I'm not a very emotionally grounded person. I cry a lot. So when people leave, I mourn them. And there is always a gap. But I find here the social circles are big. So like you said, there's 22, you know, and so, you know, when one person and one couple leaves, you know, you do have that bigger social circle. So the impact of that loss depends on, you know, how close you were to that. And some of them it's just like, oh, that's a shame. They were always fun. And others are like, you know, my work wife's left me. I feel like I'm divorced or a widow here all by myself now. So I think, you know, our circles are bigger, I find. And so that helps, I suppose, mitigate the gap. Like what they do at a lot of the international schools here, at least at my daughter's international school, is, which is different from in the UK, and is in the primary, they switch their classes round every year. In the UK, you'd be with the same kids from year 1 up to year 6. Here they change. And the reason that being is with the kids leaving, they're widening their number of kids that a child knows in the year. So if their best friend leaves, obviously they've got that sadness, but there's not that empty seat next to them where she's sat for the last 5 years, and they've got bigger circles. And I feel that, you know, as adults, we do that ourselves as well. We keep our circles big because we know, I mean, one here, it's just so social. You know, it's easy to go out, as you mentioned, about help. So we've got more flexibility to do that. And I think that helps negate some of that you know, that loss.
Totally. Well, yes. Yeah, my daughter is also in international school, and then that's what they do. This year, her best friend left. And yes, it's a bit sad. It's a lot sad for her, but yes, but she doesn't have only that friend.
Yeah.
So you're right about that. It helps. If a woman is landing to Singapore today, you know, with a plan, no network, what was the one thing that you would say to her?
Oh, get on Facebook groups and just say, I'm new here. I've come from this place. I'd love to meet up. Who would like to meet me for coffee? Honestly, you'll probably get 5 people saying, yeah, I'll come and meet you. And then if she had to say, oh, I love yoga, or I love running, is there a running club here? There's everything here. There's no shortage of things that anybody might want to do. And there'll be people willing to welcome her with open arms.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Like I find it here, it's easy to find people. You know, there's not a lot of gatekeeping to communities. You know, there's condo WhatsApp groups. There's class WhatsApp groups. Yeah. There's Facebook groups for women in business, and Facebook group. That's how we connected, through a Facebook business group, right? And then you say there's ones for just women who are here or families, and there's French ones and British ones and Aussie ones. So if you want to find your home country people first, you can say there's something for you, or you want to do yoga or running or paddle. Everyone's doing paddle now, right? So you want to do paddle, you can meet 1 million people here.
No, I think you're spot on, and I didn't even realize there was all these Facebook groups when I first got here, because I had got a job, my husband had got a job, so we were straight into it. But I started appreciating all those Facebook groups later, and then I realized there's classified, and there was all these expat wives, and there's, you know, so much. So I think it's absolutely spot on, great. You know, whatever sport, whatever your itinerary is, whatever your hobbies are, whatever you're, you know, passionate about, just go and reach out, look for it. Even though Singapore is flat, there's places for trekking, there's places for going to do water sports, there's everything. So, and that's not just the expat community, but even the local community centres. I didn't realise the power of that until really, I'd say a couple of weeks ago, when we did that 60K walk. Really met amazing people. And I think, you know, maybe that's an area that I've gapped in as well, which is connecting more with the locals near where I live. So yeah, there's so much. It's so much easier than what Australia was. It's so much easier than if I went back to England.
Yeah. When I first came here, the first year, I was like, okay, I'm going to try a new skill. And it was a community center. It was ikebana, Japanese flower arranging. I absolutely loved it. And then after a few months, like, I'm going to try my hand at art. Found that. So there's so much time that we have here, and there's so much available to try. And community centers are amazing. Absolutely amazing. And so cheap too.
Yeah. And
what about for business wise? Because I mean, social, I think it's about it's related. But on a business side of an advice that you would like to give to someone who's an entrepreneur, have an idea, is coming as a trailing spouse, and then he's looking for support or network. What would be the first thing that this person needs to do, in your views?
I think I'll give myself a message is just get out more. Don't stay isolated and say the thing that you're alone. Go out there and reach out and connect face to face, because it's actually easy to do that as well in Singapore. We've got the advantage, right? From one side to the other side. It's only half an hour.
That's it.
Right? Okay, now by train. So that's me telling myself and telling, whoever's listening as well.
Yeah, I mean, both Mangla and I are prolific networkers. So we belong to a number of different networking groups, and there are loads from, like the Athena network that I run. There's Launchpad that's run by a friend of ours. There's communities that bring men and women in business together. There's groups for more locals or more corporate women or ex-corporate women. And you can find them through the Facebook groups. You can find them through, Google search. You can find them through word of mouth. There are a lot of communities for entrepreneurs, like just countless of them. So you could fill your diary from Monday to Friday, morning, noon, and night with events if you needed to.
Absolutely. And yesterday at the Athena event, I said, I love attending these events so much that if you don't see me in any of them, it's very likely I've been kidnapped. So come and find me.
Yeah.
Love it. Okay, very good. Queen networking. Okay, that's very good to hear. And I wish that I received that advice when I first landed here. It's a very good advice. And you knowing that you have groups and networking events that you can go and mingle will make things easier in the beginning. Definitely. Thank you so much for coming here today and be so open about your experience and be so positive. I think it will be something that everyone that is watching today, especially women, trying to come with a plan and with trying to quietly, go step by step and figure out if this is going to work or not going to work. I know the pressure when you have to move from a country that you don't really know what's going on, aside that you need to take care of your family and you need to take care of all the logistics that are not necessarily assigned to a person. Is quite tough. I also think that we need to keep showing up for each other, because it's not about perfection. It's just about like you are moving forward to something, even though if it's bumpy sometimes or if it's sweaty. Hello, Singapore. But in the end, you're still moving forward, which is the most important thing. So thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Can change with a telephone. It brings what's familiar to your near.